What have been the hardest parts about leaving? Disbelieving and or leaving?
So I'll be candid. I don't think my journey is necessarily typical, but my journey leaving has brought those fears I mentioned earlier. I feel like I got them all.
Talk about those.
So, I definitely got the marital trauma. And the beauty of that is that I was able to really, I think, have insight into myself amidst that process where when you get married young, I think I went from sort of being someone's daughter to being someone's wife. I don't feel like I really did a lot of independent living on my own. And so ironically, through some of the challenges in our marriage, I walked out with a piece of that. I walked out with a piece of, I can envision my life on my own. I have a sense of what that would be like. And while it's not what I would choose right now, I will be okay if that's what my life ends up being. And that is a piece that is hard won and really valuable to me.
But it was hard.
Hard won. And I think it's that idea of it transitioned our marriage from that kind of sleepy formula, avoidant, neither one of us were particularly self-actualized, into this place where we know each other's wounds. We know what they are now. And I feel like we really have come to a place of feeling like we can help in each other's healing of those places, that we have a role to play in that. And I feel like we are, where before differences remained a source of anxiety, it's a place now where I feel like we're better at really celebrating the fact that we're different, and that when we come together, that synergy is it's really something. And it's that idea of love being made real, that sometimes the thing that wakes you up really hurts. It usually does, and you wouldn't choose it. But it's probably the thing that saved it in the end, So.
Saved what?
Saved the marriage, saved our intimacy, woke us up to ourselves, to patterns, to what we fear, to what we avoid, and to the idea of what will it take, what does it mean for us to be together in a non-enmeshment, non-codependent scenario, but really, in this emotionally independent, healthy, growth-oriented, healing-centered relationship with someone. And it also offered me the family suffering. From the beginning of Mormon Stories, I had told John my fear was that I didn't want our story to become their story.
Meaning the kids.
Mm-hmm. That I wanted them to have their own space, to have their own. And I feel like the excommunication made that really hard. And that was, for me, one of the most painful parts of it. And there's beauty that came from that too. You know, there's the beauty of our family coming together, of the loyalty that came out of that, of the closeness that comes out of a unique circumstance like that, and the sort of self-actualization they had to do. They had all that filtering with their relationships as teens, and they had all that listening to their inner voice, coping skills, learning how to cope with really painful feelings, how to navigate amidst feeling pain. That's real life, and I wish it, on some level, hadn't come in that form, in that way, at that time. But I'm not going to wish it away, because I look at him now, and I think, they're really something. They're really compassionate beings, you know? And I feel really lucky to know them. And then the third is a death. And
Talk about that.
that's come to me recently too. And I mean, what to say about that? I feel like there's part of me that always loved being prepared. That's why I love being organized, and I just love the idea of that. And I think once my dad was diagnosed with Lewy body, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, that we all knew, where that was going. And I started reading memoirs about death, less like the I've died and come back, more like cancer stories. And I remember you asking me once on a walk, like, why do you think you're interested in that? Why do you think that that's a genre that you're drawn to? And I said, well, I feel like it's coming for us, and also coming to people I love soon. And I feel like there's insight to be gained from people that are on that precipice, that walk that walk, that I don't feel like I have to necessarily feel like I have to go through cancer to have some of that insight about how to live and how to love and what's important. And so my dad, this past month, my mom texted me and said he'd been on hospice 3 times. And she just said, come over. The hospice worker doesn't think he has 48 hours. And so we went over, all of us. The kids were still at school. And I'm grateful I read all those books, because I really feel like when I arrived, my dad was on the bed doing the trance-like breathing. I don't know how many people have seen someone close to death, but the breathing that's labored, that's hard work. And the trance where they're not really aware, they're not registering you in their eyes that you are there. But we spent the afternoon singing to my dad the lullabies he used to sing us. We sang to him and we massaged his feet. And my children showed up and they looked at death. They stared death in the face to love my dad. And I crawled in bed with him, and I was able to tell him that he was the best dad, and he was the best husband, and that he had saved and helped thousands of people in his life, and that I could see he was working really hard, and that he could go and he could know that he was really loved. I said it all. And in the end, when he was done and I looked at his form on the bed, I knew we had all watched his last breath. And I knew I was able to look at his form and realize that it wasn't the same anymore, that he was gone, but that I loved his form. And I felt his head, and his face, and his arms, and his hands that played the piano and held my hand as a young girl and gave the best hugs. I felt it all, and I vowed to remember it all. It's just a strange thing. It's a mysterious thing, but I know that I gave him the best death I could. And I said it all, and I laid it there because that's what I had. That's what I knew that I had. The rest I don't know. But that I do. And the next morning I woke up and went for a hike, and I spoke to him. It sounds totally cheesy. And I just said, I really hope that you're in love, Dad. I hope, if it could be that you're with your sister and your parents, that you could be there. But I don't know that. But I know you lived, everything you offered on this planet was in love, and I hope you're in love. And I can recognize that now. That hope, it's hope. That's what's real. And all I have left, all I can do is be grateful that I knew love like that in my life. And to take those parts of him that I cherished and to really gather all the memories and all the good love he gave and to walk with it and try and integrate it and be it for the rest of my life. That's what I have. That's what I have left of my dad, and that's real.
What's it like losing someone that close to you without the support of religion? Without the beliefs, without the community, without the structure? That could be some people's worst nightmare, to face death without religion.
All I can say is this. It was a privilege to watch him leave. It was a privilege, and it was a privilege to offer love as he left the way he offered it here. And it's a relief to me. What I know is what I know, and that is that I was able to give all that I wanted in the end. I gave him everything I had. And I was there for hours until he was gone. And
But you don't have the securities of the afterlife. You don't have the hope that the knowledge that you'll be together again. You may see him, but you may not see him.
I have the hope for that. That's what I'll tell you. But I know what it is. I know it's hope. And that's part of being alive, right? That's our charge, whether we like it or not, is we will have loss, We will lose those we love. And yeah, no one's more aware than me. Than that first day, that first morning I woke up and thought, this is my first day not having my dad in my world. It just felt like the world should acknowledge it in some way. And then it was strangely comforting that it didn't acknowledge it. So yeah, I'm still working through it. It's only a month out. And all I can say is I'm literally doing grief work. I am attending to it. It takes energy to work through loss. But loss is our charge, and there's part of me that believes that we're made for it.
Do you wish you had the certainty of religious belief right now so that you could just say, oh, no worries, a couple of years I'll be with him? Do you wish you had that certainty?
I wonder, there was an immediate, there was a, what do I want to say? I felt an urgency in his death. I felt an urgency not just in his death, but in the past 10 years, amidst my transitioning, to give it all here. To take care of him, to meet him every Tuesday, to walk with him, to make him breakfast, to change his diaper, to take him to the bathroom, to remind him while I could of his life and what it meant to me. I'm not sure I would have at that level. Maybe I would have. I would like to think I would have, but there was an urgency in knowing that I didn't know, and that I was going to lay it all bare while I had him. And I did. I really did, and there is comfort in that, you know?
Living for the present and not for the future.